Hello there, I'm G, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Awful Game Emporium, where I take a look at some of the absolute worst games I can get my hands on. And I figured as we're the first episode here, why not start out with something truly dire? And it does not get much worse than Shockwave Assault for the PlayStation 1. This is a double pack that contains two 3DO games released in the mid-90s, and they are Shockwave Invasion Earth and its expansion pack, Shockwave Operation Jumpgate. And like many 3DO games, they are terrible. I mean, oh my god, so bad. But let's start where all good things start, at the main menu. You'll see here that instead of following tradition and having different words you can select, like, you know, start game, load game, or something like that, the developers have instead opted to have these weird symbols, such as this controller here, and this, I assume that's a person, this kind of, I don't even know what that symbol is. I vaguely remember seeing it on VCRs back in the day, but I'm assuming that's fast forward or play or something like that. Shows how much I remember of the good old days. So why not, let's check this little question mark at the bottom. That'll probably help us. That's probably the help screen. Oh, what happened there? Let's try and select it again, shall we? No? You see, what you have to do here is hold down the X button, and then that gives you a key that tells you what the other buttons do, which is genius. I mean, why would you even do that? Why not just have those words there? But anyway, one at the top is play game, one afterwards is player status, and I can tell you that that's not what that is. That is in fact load game, but that's its own kettle of fish, which we'll get to in a moment. The third one is joypad layout, which should give you an impression of how antiquated this game is, because we generally don't call them joypads anymore, or ever. I don't think anyone's ever called them joypads, apart from publishers and clueless developers. Bottom one is of course help, but it's not help, it's the key to what the actual menu options are. And the thing at the bottom is the level / the mission name. So we on level Egypt, mission name wildcard, I assume. I don't really understand how that works either. But let's go in here. So like a PC game, this game has kind of like a, what's it called? Like a profile system where you'll save a username and I guess it auto-saves. I've not really noticed a save button anywhere in this game, so I think that's maybe a bit ambitious. I don't believe this console was even capable of auto-saves, but I don't know. I've heard weird things about how this works, that if you die a certain number of times in the game, it'll then erase your saves, or something crazy like that. It should show you how much I've actually played of this game. I played enough to know that it's terrible, and that's really all I needed. Once again, you'll notice that they do use weird symbols instead of words, although it does make words come up at the top there, telling you what the button does. But thankfully we have this help button here, just to explain things to us in case it's all a bit confusing. And then for some reason, it puts it on the other side of the screen when you're in help. I don't... why? Oh god. So you have to memorise what the symbols are, clearly, rather than just, you know, look at the top of the screen there, where it actually says what you're doing. But anyway, let's carry on, shall we? I believe if we just go new player, new wingman, I assume that's the normal difficulty, and I shall be G. And what do we do? Okay, now we're back here. You know what, I'm just going to go main menu and start from there. I really don't understand how it works. Of course, like any good 3DO game, this title has an incredibly elaborate live-action component. It's quite ambitious, really. They really went all out on some of this. There's some quite impressive special effects for the time. The acting is, of course, suitably crummy. Hang on a second, I am just going to turn down the volume on this. This is a tad loud.
Identified flying objects approaching Earth.
Plot their approach vector and sound red alert.
My God. There are thousands of them.
There we go, that's a bit better. I can play this game without blowing my eardrums out. Which is probably for the best, as the sound effects in this game are... I don't even know how to describe it. Repugnant, horrible, just, and any synonym for that really is quite fitting.
Easton.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying this highly riveting narrative.
God, we'll need John. He's as good a squad leader as it gets. Who else?
Chang, she's good. A risk taker, but solid.
I know Alamar. Good fighter.
Yeah.
He'll come through. Hauser. Small package.
Wait
but
for
she
it, it's
packs a
coming.
Big punch. Probably the best we got.
Scott, he's a good shooter, but he treats everything like a game. Oh, we got the rookie. Just in from Miramar.
It's
He's
you!
a real ace on the simulators. But in combat, who knows?
Who does now? I do, because I'm very bad at this game, so I can tell you mankind is doomed. But yeah, as things go, this bit's not too bad, actually. I've always been a bit of a fan of horrible live-action sequences. They have a certain charm to them, I suppose. But let's jump into the first mission, where it'll all go downhill. Here we get a nice little mission briefing, which is completely irrelevant because, from what I understand, every mission in this game is simply go into the required area, shoot at the enemies until they're all dead, then you're finished. They try and make it sound really complicated, though.
All alien invaders in Egypt. Your main objectives are the Valley of the Kings, Giza, and Cairo. Omaha will send us a refueling drone just before we reach
I'm not an
Giza.
expert at geography,
My first
but
scans
it's
already
going to start
show
me
alien
at the
signals among
shore
ancient
in
ruins on the
Egypt,
shore.
and then I work my way
Concentrate
down
on the
south to
and avoid
Giza.
destruction.
I'm fairly certain that is several hundred miles, or at least a very fair distance, so we'd have to be moving very fast to actually get there, which we're not. But anyway, here we are. This, unfortunately, is Shockwave Assault. It is... I think calling it a flight sim is maybe a bit generous. It's not space sim either because, well, let's just get down to it. You cannot go up or down. This is a one-plane game, I suppose you could say. You can tilt upwards and downwards if you want to fire your guns at enemies who are up in the sky or down below, but that's about it. It's kind of an illusion. You can't crash into anything. You're always kept at a constant distance above the ground. What can I describe? There are 3 bars in the corner there. The top one is the health. Expect that to go down very quickly. The second one is your energy gauge for your laser, which is always going down. I should add that in some levels there is not actually enough energy to destroy all enemies in the level, so you have to fly past them and destroy some command centers or something, and then make a beeline for the exit and hope you don't die in the meantime. So, you know, excellent game design at work there. And the third one is your fuel. Again, there is almost not enough fuel to complete some missions in this game, so keep that in mind. You have 2 weapons. You've got your incredibly puny laser beam and this missile. I love the missile because it makes a fantastic sound, so listen out for it. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, how intimidating. Yeah, you don't get many of those missiles, so you generally save them for the big boss enemies who, well, if we get to that, I'll show you what that's all about. But first, before we go... Oh, all the boats are gone. I was going to destroy one. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm sure I'll be dead before long. So, here are some of the enemies in the game. You can see in the distance there. Or just about anyway, because the background being dark makes it very difficult to see them indeed. The only way to destroy these enemies is to kind of shoot them from a distance, because if you get this close, you're just going to get hit. And that's the big problem about this game. There's no way to avoid damage. You can do like a weird barrel roll, but you seem to be very vulnerable during that. I hate that noise it makes when you hit stuff. And you're always hitting stuff, because the collision detection's terrible. Like, if I try and fly past this pyramid, it's like, nope, you're too close. You'll take damage now. It's like they combined everything they possibly could into this game that would frustrate the player, and then somehow published it. Oh no, there is a worse thing than that. See, in the bottom, like, little monitor there, you can see the boundaries of the level. If I fly outside them, unlike in most combat sims where you'll just be turned around, fly outside, goes off path, and then you start taking damage at an incredibly quick rate. And because you can't really avoid damage so much in this game, if you go outside the boundaries, you're kind of screwing yourself over. I now probably don't have enough health to finish this level. I can defeat those tripod enemies fair enough, because I can shoot them from outside their effective radius, but flying enemies that come towards you, they're going to hit you. They're just going to hit you. There's nothing you can do about that. And, well, it's not exactly fun. You might notice that this game is rather barren as well. This is kind of as featureless as it gets. Later there is a city, but it is, of course, a flat texture of a city. There are no skyscrapers or such like. It's basically identical to what you're seeing here. Levels are very linear, as you can see from the boundaries on the bottom screen. You just generally progress forward and shoot enemies like this.
The Valley of the Kings lies just ahead.
See these guys, they're easy enough to take out. They can't hit me from here.
Alien forces at this location.
Yeah, they like having these little voiceovers to try and make it sound like you're doing something more interesting than you actually are. It's like, oh, the mission objectives, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, I'm just shooting enemies. And these guys, see, they can just fire at me and there's naff all I can do about it, because they are way faster than I am. I can speed up slightly by pressing square, but that's a good way to make yourself go out of bounds and lose all your health. See, if the crosshair is red, I can fire a missile. It'll make, actually, a different noise. And it'll sort of home in, but sometimes it'll miss anyway. What can I share about this game? You might be interested to know it was made by Crystal Dynamics, of all people. You may also know as... You may also know as the developers of the far better game Tomb Raider, and the far, far better game of Gex, and Gex 2, and Gex Deep Cover Gecko, a franchise which has sadly been lost to the annals of time. One day I shall revisit it myself in video form. I think that spaceship just crashed into that pyramid, so it's nice to know that they're suffering from this game's dodgy collision detection also. As I've said before, this game is full of obnoxious sound effects. It may be a bit lower on the actual final compressed video, but I can tell you now, all the enemies make just horrible, horrible sounds. It only gets worse in Operation Jump Gate, which I will get to soon. I'll try and progress a bit further through this level, and we can switch to Jump Gate, and you can see how much improvement there was. Oh, and I'm completely out of gun energy now, so I can't fight back. I've got one tiny slither of health left, so there's that, and now I'm dead.
We'll have to go back.
And now we get this lovely little live-action cutscene where they try and revive you.
Looks good.
And each time it gets progressively more dire, so I think the one after this, they're like, you should be dead, but we're going to send you out anyway because we need pilots. Apparently all the other pilots from that intro thing aren't good enough.
Other than that, Wildcard suffers from your garden variety bumps and bruises.
This doctor guy is great, by the way.
Thanks, Doctor.
What's the status on Wildcard?
Wildcard is on deck in Hangar 1.
Yeah, this operator woman gets progressively
I
more,
hope the kid gets it right this
I don't
time.
want to say evil, but ruthless as the game goes on. Which you'll see once we go into Operation Jumpgate, where she is just full-on kind of maniacal, I suppose. And the ending of Operation Jumpgate especially, which I won't get to because it's unlikely I'll be able to finish a single level of this game. Partly because it's terrible and partly because I'm terrible at it and games in general, so...
We're coming back
There's
to
that.
Egypt for another attempt. Remember, our main objective
I do
is
like
the
that it
Valley
has
of
a
the
different
Kings,
little bit of
Giza,
speech
and
here,
Cairo.
depending on how many
Be sure to
times
look
you've
for the
tried to do this
refueling
level. It's
drone
like,
before
okay,
Giza.
here, give this
Just
another
destroy
go,
all
shall
the
you?
invaders and
And
try
it
to
will
leave
actually
the
respawn
civilian
you
sites
at
intact.
checkpoints in the level if you've got to certain points. And they're fairly generous with those, I suppose, at least in this level anyway. Oh, I get to destroy the boats this time. Yeah. Don't ask me why they explode, they just do. I love that explosion. I miss games where just explosions were... We took a few pictures of an explosion and then we put an alpha layer in and threw them in the game. It's like, whatever, that's great. That's how all explosions in games should be. It's photorealistic. It's what we've been after all this time.
This isn't a game, Lieutenant.
See, I don't know why she gets so angry. I was destroying the aliens. Whatever. You'll see below the bars in the corner there is a number, and that number gets progressively lower as you get closer to your mission objective, which is usually a boss or some such. And the only way I found to defeat bosses is to start firing at them with this weapon until you're just about in their effective range, then immediately turn around and run away before they can fire at you, because if they do fire at you, you're dead almost instantly, as they have these giant kind of Gatling gun weapons that disintegrate you pretty fast-ish. So, yeah, the final section of these levels becomes a fun little game of hit and run, where you walk towards an enemy, shoot them, then walk away. It's riveting stuff, it truly is, and it redeems almost every fault this game has. That is, of course, sarcasm. This game is mostly irredeemable. Actually, that's a bit harsh. I do quite like the live-action segments, but half of that is ironic and half of that is like, yeah, you guys really tried with this. You probably didn't have much to work with, and you did a lot. It's even more impressive in the sequel, Shockwave 2 Beyond the Gate, which sadly didn't come out for the PS1, so it's going to be difficult for me to show that. I will pick up a 3DO at some point and see if I can kind of squeeze some footage out of that thing. But yeah, with that, they really went all out. They went full on Wing Commander. They had like this really complex narrative with all these different like, organizations and groups and lore and... Ugh. It feeds into the ending of Operation Jumpgate, which I thought was amusing, although I have not figured out the full extent to how that works, as I've not played much of it myself. I just watched some video on YouTube and went, wow, you guys really tried with this. Why was that not the one you put on the PS1? That was some cool stuff you did there. Oh, almost out of energy again. I'm almost out of patience with this terrible game.
We're going to have to do this one over again.
Whoa. Okay. I failed the mission there, apparently. I'm not sure why or how.
Your mission is active reconnaissance over the Nile Delta. Heavy alien activity reported.
Okay, I think I've had enough of this. I did not want to play this in the first place, and now I especially don't want to replay that area again. So, let's take a look at Operation Jumpgate, shall we? And then call it a day. See you in a moment. Hello again, and welcome to Operation Jumpgate, an expansion pack I know that everyone was excited for back in the day. So this gives you a little recap of what happened at the end of the first game. And I really like this recap.
It was also incredibly quick.
She's super erotic about it.
Unexpected.
Oh, the aliens. They came.
We were overwhelmed. Our forces
so overwhelmed.
nearly depleted. Then
it's so cheesy, but in the best possible way.
Wildcards slipped through the enemy attackers, making an heroic solo assault upon the alien mothership.
Yeah, basically humans won. That's the general gist of it. And then they built a new army, and then they took a look at Mars and found out the aliens were also on Mars, just waiting for you. And then they sent one ship yet again, because apparently this entire fleet they've built up over the interim couple of months or years or whatever it was is not enough. There's still just one pilot who's good enough to beat the aliens. Let's just skip this now, okay. It loses its amusement qualities fairly quickly, because soon after you realise, hey, we're back! It's another Shockwave game! Thank Christ. I mean, wow. Yes, Shockwave. We want to play more of this. And of course our friend the little key still remains. It's got largely the same interface as the first game. In fact, it's largely identical interface-wise. But you'll be happy to know that gameplay-wise, it's actually a big improvement. They solved pretty much everything I didn't like about that first game. The sound effects aren't as annoying, there is more depth to the combat, there's more than the two weapons, you can actually avoid being hit, the levels are more interesting and diverse, there's greater range of enemies, just everything is so much better. So let's jump in, shall we? I am of course lying completely. It is actually identical to Shockwave Alien Invasion or Earth Invasion or whatever you call it. Yeah, same interface, same annoying voice, same selection of weapons. There might be different enemies, I don't know. The big difference is you're on Mars now, which, as you can see, is completely different from fighting on Earth. Also, there are more annoying enemies. I assume these are endgame enemies from the first game. Operation Jumpgate is largely a lot harder because it doesn't start you off with those, like, tripod things you can just snipe at from ages away. But yeah, it's the same rubbish. It's... oh. I can't believe I've played as much of this game as I have already. I think I take some kind of perverse pleasure from playing just true garbage. It's not quite Bubsy 3D levels, but it's not far off. Probably have more fun with Bubsy 3D. Oh, and hitting that's an instant death. I will say, like, the little death animation things for this are far better. These little cutscenes. Although the first one, again, is fairly light. Just like, oh, you're fine. Get back in the ship. Everything's okay. As you lose more and more often, it becomes doctors trying to revive you, going, he shouldn't be alive. And then I think after 4 times it just goes like, yeah, this dude's dead. There's not much we can do for him. Let's just...
and we should make it.
Yeah, this is going nowhere. Earth is doomed because our one qualified pilot is dead. So how shall I end this? Oh, yes. If you did not think the sound of those enemies flying by and shooting at you was obnoxious enough, let's just travel a bit further forward, can we? And give this game a nice little send-off. Oh, well, no, I hit that one-hit kill enemy, so I guess I'm having to do this again. Well, at least we get to see the next one of these.
Looks good.
Yeah, you're fine. The second from last one in Invasion Earth is pretty good too. It's just the Doctor arguing with, like, the angry, slightly eroticized commander lady going like, we can't send this guy out. He is barely alive. He shouldn't do anything for weeks. And she's like, no, he's our one pilot. We need him out there. Send him out. What could go wrong? Apparently a lot of things. So let's try and go around the evil spinny thing of doom. Oh, no. Spinny thing of doom. So this is how you have to fight the bosses. You get close, turn around. You get far enough away, you turn around again. And you just do that a lot. God damn, this thing just won't go down. So he's just tearing away at my health and there's nothing I can do about it. Well, I guess we're going to see the next death animation. I really wanted to get up to the really bad sounding enemies, but I suppose this is giving you a much better impression of what playing Operation Jumpgate is like.
Stand clear.
That is to say, god-awful.
No response.
Oh, am I dead? Am I full on dead?
There's nothing else we can do.
Well. That's it telling me that I'm dead inside. We get the credits. Oh, you know, I'm not even going to go and find those annoying sounding enemies. I think, at this point, you know not to play Shockwave Assault. Ever. And that has been Awful Game Emporium. Thanks for watching Awful Game Emporium Shockwave Assault. I hope you enjoyed it, because I certainly did not enjoy it myself. If you'd like to see more videos of me suffering through the worst games that history has to offer, then please remember to like, share, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. And maybe leave a few comments would be nice too. But now, some recommendations. If you want to play a game that's very similar to Shockwave Assault, but is in fact not the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life, then you might want to check out Descent 1 and 2, which also came out for the PS1, and a couple of old-timey PCs if you're into that kind of thing. It was a similar kind of you piloting a ship and destroying aliens and robots and all that, except it had the wonderful innovation of allowing you to go upwards and downwards, unlike Shockwave Assault, which allowed for some actual level design, which is a novelty. They probably haven't aged especially well, but they're still worth a play if you can look past like the kind of naff graphics and other such things. But anyway, that's all for now. See you around.